So the trailer for Dune Part 3 has just released. And honestly, I could not believe that a movie trailer could make me feel this way. Not just exciting, not just visually impressive, but heavy. Like something bigger is about to unfold. The trailer for Dune Part 3 dropped, and instead of just hyping me up, it made me pause. Because this doesn't feel like the continuation of a story. It feels like the consequences of one. And that caught me off guard. Because most movies want you to feel anticipation. This feels more like inevitability. I've been a Dune fan since the first movie came out. Not because it was fast, not because it was loud, but because it trusted the audience to sit with it, to feel the weight of silence, to exist in a world that didn't need to constantly explain itself. And then Dune Part 2 came out, and everything escalated. The scale got bigger, the tension got sharper, the choices got heavier, and now Part 3 doesn't feel like it's trying to go bigger. It feels like it's trying to go deeper. There's something in the tone of this trailer that feels off. And I mean that in a good way. There's this quiet tension underneath everything. Like even in the moments that should feel victorious. There's something unsettled about them. And that's not something you usually see. Most trilogies build toward a satisfying resolution. But this doesn't feel like resolution. It feels like consequences finally catching up. And that shift changes everything. If you really think about it, Dune was never a traditional hero story. It looks like one on the surface. A young man rising, finding power, fulfilling his destiny. But underneath that, it's asking a much darker question. What happens when someone actually gets everything they were meant to become? Because we're taught to chase potential, to become more, to rise. But Dune doesn't stop there. It forces you to look at what comes after. I think that's why this story hits so differently with me. Because it reflects something real. A lot of people spend years trying to build themselves into something more disciplined, more capable, more powerful. And we assume that once we get there, everything will feel right. But sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you arrive and realize that weight is heavier than you expected. I remember thinking about this after watching Part 2. There's this moment where everything should feel like victory. But it doesn't. It feels complicated. Lead them to paradise, Paul says, in a reluctant way. And that stuck with me more than any action scene, because it felt honest. It didn't pretend that power solves everything. It showed that it changes you, and not always in ways that you expect. And watching this trailer, it feels like that idea is finally coming to the surface. The scale is still there. It's even bigger than before. The visuals are still incredible. It feels like every scene is an achievement in and of itself. But they don't feel like the focus anymore. They feel like the backdrop. What stands out is the tone, the stillness between moments, the way scenes linger just a little longer than you expect. Like the film is asking you to sit with what's happening, instead of just reacting to it. And that's rare, especially now. Most modern movies move fast. They explain everything. They keep you constantly stimulated because they're afraid you'll lose interest. But Dune does the opposite. It slows down. It creates space, no pun intended. And in that space, you start thinking. You start questioning. And that's uncomfortable. But it's also what makes it stick with you. I don't even want to go too deep into predictions, because part of what makes this story work is not fully knowing where it's going. But if this film leans into what the trailer is hinting at, this might not be a clean ending. It might not be satisfying in the traditional sense. It might leave people unsettled. And honestly, that's kind of what I'm hoping for. Because I don't want just another big movie. I want something that feels intentional. Something that respects the audience enough to not give easy answers. And that's what this feels like. It feels like a story that knows exactly what it's trying to say. So yeah, I'm excited. Not in a loud or overhyped way. Maybe a little bit. But in a way that feels rare. Like we're about to watch something that actually stays with you. Something that just doesn't end when the credits roll. And if Dune Part 3 delivers on even half of what this trailer is setting up, it's not just going to be a great ending. It might completely change how people look at this entire franchise. And the world. So yes, I'm really excited. I cannot wait for this movie. Dune Part 2 literally felt like the Empire Strikes Back of my era. Or of my generation, I mean. But I literally cannot wait for this movie. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I love this franchise. I'm so excited to see how this conclusion is what it's being called in the trailers. I'm really excited to see how it ends. So let me know what you guys think. I'd love to talk to y'all more about it. Thanks.